So guys, suffice it to say, a lot of people are going to die in their apartments from medical emergencies, whatever that is. Asthma, diabetic crisis, whatever it is, they're going to die of it, and there's probably going to be no help. Again, with hospitals being overwhelmed as well, guys, whoever is sick, whoever is dying is going to die. There is no saving them. And you're going to have to make your peace with that, because that's what chaos looks like. Now, for those of you EMT and medics that have to travel to people's homes and like you got to take a 20-minute road trip or a 30-minute road trip to get to somebody's house, you already know what your answer is. You can't help anybody, especially if the ambulances are not working. If the ambulances are working, you're going to have to do your best to try to categorize who's more important than the other person, and is this person worth saving versus the other. People on ventilators, because there are some people who are on ventilators, home ventilators that is, they're going to die damn near immediately. People who are on oxygen, who need oxygen for support, they're going to wind up dwindling over the next couple of hours or days. Depends on how badly they are and how much they need that oxygen. Now, some places, some people have their own oxygen stored away in their homes. They have regulators, but they're going to have to like cycle through it or ration that oxygen off to prolong the inevitable, because if there's no other oxygen for them to get, guys, they're just going to wind up dying regardless. So again, guys, while we have all of these nice things going on right now, while we have everything in order, if you will, when and if an E.M.P attack happens, all of that's out the window. Helping all the people you want to help goes out the window. Trying to become an EMT hero or superhero, that's out the window. That doesn't exist. You try to help as many people as you can within the distance that you can help these people. So if you have to walk 5 blocks, keep in mind you might have to walk 13 blocks back to whatever hospital you're going to take them to. So keep that in mind. Like I said, guys, many people will die within the first few hours of an E.M.P attack. That's just how it is. If you have an elderly mother who's on a ventilator or an elderly parent who has a pacemaker, that's it. It's done. There's no trying to save them. Some of you people who are diabetics, you better come up with a way on how to store your insulin and keep it cold, right? Some of you who are diabetics through diet, different story. You'll figure that out as you go along. Now, guys, here's the more interesting part, the workforce. That's everybody else who's at work. If this E.M.P goes off during the day, during the high point of the day where most Americans are at work, you're going to have a lot of people who are stuck, like I said before. A lot of bosses will start kicking people loose. They'll be like, well, the power's out. It doesn't seem like it's going to come back on anytime soon. And most bosses, I would hope, would have the common sense to know that if the city's in a total blackout, the day's lost. So you might as well kick everyone loose. For those people that have to walk home, if you live anything over, I'm going to say 15, 20 miles, it's going to take you quite a while to get home, especially if you never walk that distance. Secondly, if you live beyond that, if you live beyond 10, 15, 20 miles, guys, you're going to have to come up with a plan on how to get home. Keep in mind, if you came to work on a train or a bus, that system might be shut down. So now you're going to have to figure out a way how to get home. Most people, especially here in the city or cities like New York, they're going to take something, what's called a city bike. That's here in New York. Other cities have something, it's named something else in other cities. You're going to try to get a city bike before everybody else does. Now, preppers are going to get the city bike before everybody else does. A prepper will be like, well, what the fuck? A blackout? My car's not working? The train and the buses are down? Fuck that. I'm taking a city bike and I'm riding my way home. Now, guys, keep in mind, if you've never ridden that many miles, if you never walked that many miles and you are not physically capable to do so, you might as well wait to the next morning and then take off and walk at your pace. Don't rush, don't try to speed it up, walk at your pace. This is why I suggest a lot of people have a get-home bag, because if you have a get-home bag, which most preppers will have at their office or in their car, they can walk home, and if they're too far, after, let's say, 20 miles, they could stop, take a break, camp out for the night, and then continue walking. Be careful where you camp out to. If you're in a bad neighborhood, do not stop there. Keep pushing through until you can get to a safer area, which I don't know what would be safer. If you're going to pitch a tent at night, which we're going to talk about in the next part, you got to find yourself somewhere secluded and safe and out of view of people if you're going to set up for the night. Now, a lot of preppers who identify what this is, they're going to initiate their E.M.P blackout plan, whatever that is. And they're going to start getting the shit into motion. If they're at work, they're going to hope that their husband or their wives are ready to rock and roll and are setting things up in motion and are getting the kids home. If you work in a city, but you live out, let's say Long Island, you got a nice trip ahead of you. You live upstate New York, you got a long trip ahead of you. If there are cars working, maybe you can wheel and deal with certain cars or certain drivers to get you as close to home as you possibly can. That'll shorten the length of time it takes you to get home. So, not a lot of people don't carry cash. 34% of millennials don't carry cash, but 53% of Americans carry cash for emergencies. So there are a lot of people in the city who relied on their Apple phone or their debit card. They're going to soon realize that they can't buy shit, because a lot of stores will not allow you to buy shit if you don't have cash. They're not going to let you just take in a run. Now, some supermarkets might. If it's a long power outage, they have to kick everything loose anyway. It means throw everything out that needs to be refrigerated. And if it goes a certain amount of hours without being powered or cooled, then they have to throw it away. So a lot of stores might give you juice, they might give you water and tell you to kick on. But again, that's a shot in the dark you're going to have to take when that time comes to it. What I suggest is that you guys just carry cash. And this doesn't pertain to just an E.M.P, guys. This could be just a regular blackout in the city or a CME, coronal mass injection headed towards this planet that really disrupts our power source or power grid, sorry. Just have the cash on hand. It's that simple. And then make that an emergency cash. Just don't touch it. Now, here's the more important part, guys. Communications. A lot of people, or rather preppers, are going to have their communications start to set up, whether that's your ham radio, or CB radio, or your AM/FM battery operated radio. You're going to try to get this in motion. You're going to try to set it up, and you're going to try to establish comms. When you establish comms, guys, make sure when you hear what's going on, you repeat it exactly the way you heard it, and you write it down. Writing it down is more important than just going off word of mouth. Don't go, well, it was an E.M.P attack and it was China that set it off. And then by the time it gets to the fifth person, it was an E.M.P attack and aliens did it, right? Make sure you write down exactly what you heard. And then you pass it on to somebody and you make them write it down exactly the way you wrote it down, so that less information is lost between you and it getting to the 20th person. So back to you people who work in the city, you're going to have a plan. Now, if you have a friend that's in the city, make sure you stay with them for the night. You do not want to be out in the street when night comes, guys. Night is going to be just a disastrous, horrific time in any city. I'm going to get into that in part 3. But when night falls, guys, this place will fucking be nothing short of a disaster. So either you stay at your workplace or you go to a friend's home. But those are your two options. Don't decide 9 o'clock at night, shit, I got to get home, and you live 50 miles from home. Don't do that to yourself. Do yourself a favor, sleep at the job, make sure you have security somewhere at the job that's going to protect you as well, because the looting and the rioting that's going to go on that night is going to be way worse. It's going to make LA, New York City, and what we saw last year with the rioting look like baby steps. So with that, guys, the next episode, we're going to get into how horrific the nights are going to be in the city. That'll be part 3. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.